What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the Elden Ring walkthrough. We are going to continue our path through Liurnia, and we got lots to cover, so let's get on into it. So we're starting here at Round Table Hold. Actually, before we warp, I want to level up my Spirit Ashes, because we got some Tier 3 Glovewort. So I'm going to level up my stuff before we head out. So we got Glovewort Tier 3, so we can get Lone Wolf Ashes +3 from that. We can also upgrade Lutiel the Headless to +3. We'll be using him a bit later. I misspoke in the last episode. I said in the last episode that we'd be getting a item for our Physic Flask that negates FP consumption in this episode. So we are going to get more stuff for our Physic Flask in this episode. And by the way, we are warping here to Folly on the Lake, this Site of Grace. We are going to get one in this episode, but it is not the correct one. We are getting a Cerulean tier, which will recover our FP, but the one that I was talking about is actually called the Cerulean Hidden tier. And we're not going to be getting that till a little bit later when we go further up north. So sorry about that if I got your hopes up, but we will be getting it at some point, but it won't be till a bit later. So first of all, we're going to go right here to those two spots that I just marked on the map. One of them is going to net us some smithing stones, and the next one is a point, or a Site of Grace, rather. So you're going to want to stay on the move, because right here, there's a bunch of lobsters. We're not going to fight the lobsters, but we are going to get our smithing stones and head on out of here and go to our second site, our second marker. So you're going to want to, like, if you can, sort of bob and weave on your way, because the lobsters are going to try to shoot you with their stuff, and it, as you can see, does quite a bit of damage, unfortunately. So we got our Site of Grace right here. I'm going to go ahead and rest at it. The next thing we're going to do is a bit tough. So remember when they're back in Limgrave, when there was that rune bear that we could kill for a larval tier, and again, the larval tiers are what you can use to respec. Well, there is something similar here, because you remember it was just a regular enemy that you killed and then he turned into a rune bear. Well, this is similar, except that it's a lobster that turns into a grafted scion, or grafted scion, I should say. And that lobster is like right in this vicinity. So I'm actually going to fight the lobster on horseback. I find that the lobsters are much easier to fight on horseback. And fortunately, this one is kind of secluded away from those other ones. There he is right there. And I find if you kind of stay away from his claws, he's a bit easier to hit. I'm going to wait for him to come away from that little gazebo, because that's where the other lobsters were. So I'm going to charge in, do a heavy attack. Try to stay away from his claws, and he's going to have trouble hitting you, as you can see here. So just circle around him while on horseback. If he jumps, you're going to have to run. You're going to have to get away real quick. But see, we already got a stun here. I'm going to get my critical and then hop right back on my horse. Or maybe go for the charged heavy. Ah, that was dumb. I knew that was dumb. Fortunately, you get iframes when you're mounting your horse. Oh, geez. Still dangerous on the horse, but as I said, much easier. All right, he backed away. I'm going to let him come back at me and then try to circle back around and get to his side, which is easier said than done. He's going for his grab right there. All right, there we go. So now he's gonna warp into a grafted scion. I'm gonna use my Physic Flask. I should have used that before. You don't have to do this. Again, if you do this, you're gonna get yourself a larval tier, which will allow you to respec a bit later. We're about to get to the point soon-ish where we're going to be able to respec if you want. But this is a hard fight. Very tough fight. It's a tough enemy followed by another tough enemy. Doing my Bloodhound's finesse. Gonna pull another one off here. Do a jump attack maybe? Nope. Make sure you keep your health up. And as I've preached many times before, if this guy's too hard, you can always come back later and get him. All right, there we go. We got the kill. And for our trouble, heavy larval tier. So where we're going to go next is there's a spot kind of right around here where there's a smithing stone And then there's a spot kind of right around here where there's another one. This one is from a scarab. And the first one is kind of hidden behind a rock. There's a crab sort of guarding it. And these are both somber. I believe we're going to get a somber 1 and a somber 2, if I'm not mistaken. So this one, if you circle around this rock here, there's a crab right here. Just grab it and run away. Don't need to fight the crab. So the second one, there's a couple of ways of going about it. The way that I'm going to show you is a jump. It's a little bit precise, but not too precise. So what you want to do is you see the scarab. He's right up there. If you can barely see him sticking out from that rock, what you can do is you can run up this and do a double jump off to the side right here. And you're going to get up here right next to the scarab. And you kill him, you get a somber stone 2. So the way that you can get up here otherwise is you follow this all the way back here. You see that this kind of connects to that swampy area where we got up to the village of the Albinarics. So if you want to come up this way instead of doing that jump that I just did, I'm going to show you where this is on the map relatively. Again, we don't have this section unlocked, but here's the relative spot where you can just kind of run on up the gentle slope to get to where we just were. So where we're going to go next is, well, you can't really see it on our map very well either, but I'm actually going to backtrack just a bit to get kind of back to where we were. So I'm going to drop off right here. So where we're headed next, see that little tower? And again, this is all just very slightly off the map. I think in the next episode, we're going to get this final map piece that's going to unlock everything in Liurnia, which will help out with navigation pretty significantly. So right here, we have a Site of Grace. Going to unlock it, and I'm going to rest here as well. Okay, so this is the converted tower. There's a puzzle here. So you can't, when you solve the puzzle, there's gonna be a ladder that drops right here. So this little hint says your addition guide thee. What you need for this is a gesture that we don't have yet. So we can't solve this puzzle. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna mark this spot on our map. Oops, with a marker, with a diamond. There's treasure here. We're gonna need to come back to this when we get the gesture. We'll get the gesture. I don't know. After the next dungeon is when we're going to get the gesture. So what we're going to do now is up here, you see there's a minor Erd tree. So much like the previous minor Erd tree where we fought a boss, or a mini boss, I should say, it's going to be the same thing here. It's the same exact mini boss, actually, as the one before. The Erd tree avatar. And we're going to fight him much the same way. I'm going to go ahead and pop my Physic Flask here. And you can fight these mounted. I prefer to fight them off the horse. I find it's much easier to dodge their attacks and punish them. And as I say that, I just got smacked upside the head because I was being greedy and impatient. All right, so yeah, wait for their attack. And then I pretty much am going to abuse the Bloodhound's Finesse. So this is the AoE stomp. Make sure you roll away from that. Gonna wait for his next attack. Kind of does a little hip check thing there. All right, so this is the this is the attack where he summons the projectiles. Just run to the side. You'll dodge every single one of them. Another AoE stomp, and I couldn't roll away in time to get away from that one. Okay. Oh, I'm out of FP, so I need to heal up my FP real quick. All right, this is the perfect time to do that. As I said, I'm pretty much just going to abuse Bloodhound's Finesse for this fight. Should get a stagger eventually, so he's going to do the projectile attack here, run to the side. I'm actually quite surprised I haven't gotten a stagger. But don't need it, I guess. Okay, so we get the Cerulean Crystal tier. As I said, this one recovers I think half of your FP if you have it in your flask. And the one that I'm looking for is a Cerulean Hidden tier, which is the one that gives you unlimited FP for a certain period of time, which we don't have that one yet. We'll get that one quite a bit later. And the Ruptured Crystal tier, which this one actually causes you to explode when you drink your flask. The explosion does quite a bit of damage to you, but it also really hurts anybody in range of the explosion. So it is a bit of a trade-off. Some people like using it. I'm not a huge fan of it just because of kind of what it does to you. But so where we're going next is, if you remember our friend Edgar, who his daughter was the person who gave us the letter. We had to talk to him at Castle Morn, and then he gets back to tend to his daughter, finds out that his daughter had been killed, and he vows to take revenge. We're about to run into him again. Just kind of follow this path. Again, this is all uncharted territory, so like pulling it up on my map isn't really going to help because the detail's not there yet. If you just head in this general direction, kind of north, you're going to get there. And you see we dismounted from our horse automatically because we're about to get invaded by an NPC. So we're invaded by Edgar the Revenger. So he has turned into the Revenger. And sadly, I was not able to get my flasks back because I couldn't rest in time. But he's difficult, but he's not unreasonable. Jump attacks, obviously a good thing. You see I knocked him back quite a bit there. And just kind of keep your distance. Get hits him while you can. Jump attacks, always good. The bleed hit, and we're done. So, for our trouble, we get a Shabiri Grape. That is the primary reason why we came here right now. We got the third Shabiri Grape. We got the Banished Knight's Halberd +8. That's his weapon. We got some raw meat dumplings, which those inflict poison on yourself, I believe. But then when you attack, anything that you hit takes the poison as well. I think that's how it works. I don't ever use them. But anyway, so what we're going to do now is there is a Catacombs that we're going to hit up. And on the way, there's going to be an Ash of War. But the Catacombs is kind of... You can see the outline of the continent here. And so the Catacombs is right here along that outline. So even though we can't see the detail, we can still kind of make an educated guess as to where it's at. And these Catacombs are a bit interesting. They're about the same difficulty as the ones we covered in the last episode. Maybe even a little bit easier. These ones are they're the imp type Catacombs as opposed to the skeleton Catacombs. So basically all that means is, you know, the types of enemies that we're going to be fighting are the imps instead of the skeletons. That's kind of the two different types of enemies that appear in catacomb areas. So we got Ash of War Sword Dance. I'm just going to run through here. Not going to fight the bats. Don't care to. All the way down here. Have our Catacombs. Going to throw my lantern on. We might have enough to level up. I'm not quite sure. I'm going to check. And if I don't and it's close, I'm just going to use runes to cover the gap. All right. We do. Oh, barely enough for a level. Okay, we'll go on and take strength up. Because as I said, I'm working to get my strength to 40 to be able to use the grafted blade that we got from killing the boss at Castle Morn. So... these imps do hit a bit hard. That was roughly half my health. So as I said, this Catacombs is a bit interesting. You see there our switch for the locked door is right here at the beginning, which that is unusual for those of you who have gone through a number of these, as we have already. Is there another imp up here? No. So we're going to go on and pull the switch. And another thing that makes this Catacombs interesting is this is the first occurrence that we've had in this game thus far. But this Catacombs features illusory walls, which those of you who have played Dark Souls know that illusory walls are a thing. They are a thing in this game. This is the first time we've run into one in this playthrough. But there are several throughout the world. This just happens to be the first one. So we get a rune arc right here. I think this one's illusory too. Yep. So this pathway is actually the pathway to the boss. So we already unlocked the door, but the boss door is actually hidden behind those walls. So if you don't find those walls, then you're never going to get there. Let's take care of these imps. And there are hidden walls throughout this particular catacombs that we're going to stumble upon. There's actually more right here. And, you know, many of these have enemies behind them. I'm actually going to use a... Ow. That was bad timing. Fighting two of these at once is a bit rough. Because they can... They hit fairly hard, and they do the bleed buildup. So separate them if you can. Behind here, we got more Grave Glovewort, Watchdog Staff, and Human Bone Shard. So as I said, the boss is back up on that first floor, but if you want... Ooh, trap. I forgot about this trap. Oh, geez. That was almost bad, and I'm about to die if I'm not careful. Ooh, that was close. That was really close. I had like a pixel of HP left there. I forgot about that dadgum trap. Ugh. But now that that happened, you know not to make the same mistake I just did. All right. And illusory wall. So illusory wall, you can either you can dissolve them by either attacking or you can roll. If you roll against one, it'll also make it dissolve. So there's a couple of the imps in here. So this guy kind of wants to lure you in, and then there's a couple others that'll gang up on you. So I suggest luring this one out here. Whoops. And then taking care of him individually. And then the others, are they up on the wall or do they just jump behind you? I think yeah, there they are. They're just like right behind you when you walk in. This one hasn't moved yet. That's nice. Get some HP back. Doing a critical. And in here we get the Ray Lucaria Soldier Ashes. So now what we got to do is, this is kind of the end of the catacombs. So if you want to fight the boss, we got to sort of backtrack just a little bit. Watch out for that trap. And this here is where we went behind the first illusory wall, and the boss door is down here. And then we got another illusory wall right in front of us. Very tricky. And another illusory wall. They want to make this place hard to find. Fortunately, we have a statue of Marika here to for a respawn if we die to the boss. So this boss is a little bit of a puzzle, actually. So it's like a phantom that gets summoned, but the boss is not the phantom. There's like a snail that's invisible that's summoning the phantoms. So what happens is if you kill the phantom that he summons, he's going to appear for just a bit. See he's back there in that corner? If you kill his phantom, he's going to appear, but he kind of gives himself away because he has this glowing aura to him, and then he's going to relocate. If you want, you can summon your wolves to kind of take the aggro off this guy. This guy is actually really powerful. He hits really hard, but you see the glow. I'm going to do a Bloodhounds to get maximum damage there, and then the snail's dead. So the Spirit Caller snail is the boss, not the phantom. As soon as you kill the snail, the phantom's going to be gone. But just know that that phantom's going to be chasing you all around, and unless you summon your spirits, he'll chase you. And he hits pretty hard. But interesting boss. There's a couple of those in this game. So where we're going to head next is we're going to warp, and you can take this away. Whoops. We're going to warp all the way back over here. And there's a couple spots that we're going to want to hit up. First thing being, we're going to travel north, and there's going to be like this battle that breaks out. And you see these guys. There's a couple pickups along the way. They're fighting each other. Off to the side here, there's a weapon. You get the Lucerne. And there's a giant that spawns here. There's a couple of golden runes you can pick up. I suggest just running past him. He's not really worth fighting. The rewards aren't that great, and he's really tough. So you can fight him if you would like, but I'm not going to. So I'm actually going to backtrack just a bit and head up this hill to this tower up here that you see. And it's going to be a similar area where like a bunch of these spirit dudes pop up. I'm just going to run right past them because there's a lot of them. And then you got this guy trying to snipe you from the top of the tower. So stopping is not generally advisable right here. So in here, get the Glintstone Craftsman Cookbook 3. Up here, you have an enemy. Try to sneak up on him. And he's, yeah, dead. So up here we get the Carrion Glint Blade Staff. So staffs, you know, not something we're really using because I'm not using sorceries at all. But just to take a quick look at this staff that we just picked up. We can't equip it. We don't have the intelligence for it. But you see, you know, it says gifted to enchant knights. It enhances glint blade sorcery. So whatever, you know, there's a bunch of different staffs that we're going to get throughout the game. And, you know, staffs can have a certain kind of specialty. So this one, it says enhances glint blade sorceries. And you see the sorcery scaling down there. That sorcery scaling, what you want to do is to increase that as you want to upgrade the staff using smithing stones. But there are staffs that throughout the game that have different abilities, I guess you could say, or different specialties. Down here we get a golden rune tier 4. We're just gonna head right back down the way we came. The giant's doing work, man. As I said, the rewards aren't that great for killing him, so I'm not really gonna worry about it. So right over here, there's going to be a scarab. He's one of the ones that blows up when you kill him. Just try to get away from him as soon as you get the kill shot. Get a smithing stone 2. Over here, there's a rune bear. Really not much to it, other than the fact that he's eating something. Where is he? There he is. Not really worth this, but you get a sliver of meat. I'm not going to fight him. He hits really hard. So over here, you have a site of grace right at this bridge that we're going to unlock. And this is why we went to the Revenger's Shack to fight that NPC invader to get our third Shabiri grape, is because this is the third location of Hyetta. And we can give her her third Shabiri grape out of 4 total that we're going to need to give her.
Hello? Is someone there? Would you donate any Shabiri grapes in your possession to me? I'm on a pilgrimage in search of the distant light, and when I eat one of those grapes, I can feel the light in the back of my eyes.
All right, we'll give it to her.
Many thanks to you. Now I can feel the distant light once more. That aside, I wonder what Shabiri grapes really are. Delectably tender and sweet, yet searing. What a sight they must be to behold.
Yeah, if you remember from reading the description, they're actually human eyes. So we need, in order to advance her quest, you actually have to tell her the truth. So tell her their eyes.
No. That's not possible. Not all of those people. Their own. So those noises I heard were... Sorry. I'm alright now. Don't mind me. I apologize. You only did as I asked. I'll be fine. Think no more of it.
Okay. So yeah, you kind of hear her puke. That's great. So you can rest. I'm not sure if you have to rest, but I usually rest just to kind of reset. And then she has a bit more dialogue that you need to do before she moves to her next spot, which we're actually not going to get to her final spot for a good while.
I've gleaned something very important indeed, thanks to you. The reason why it was eyes I had to eat. The distant light is far and frail, so faint it can't be seen by the naked eye. But with everyone's eyes together, it appears. Finally, it all makes sense. I'm certain now. I will be a finger maiden. I've gleaned something very... I'm certain now.
Okay. That's kind of the end of that. Going to pass the time until morning because it's about to be nighttime. And this is actually where we're going to end this one here, guys. This is going to be a little bit on the shorter side. Sometimes when I plan out the route for an episode, sometimes areas take longer than I expect and the episode goes longer. Sometimes areas take shorter than I expect and the episode goes shorter. This is one of those times where things didn't take as long as I expected them to. So we're going to go on and cut this one here. But thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you guys have had a good time with this guide so far and with Elden Ring. Anyways, appreciate y'all watching, and I'll catch y'all next time. Take care, everybody.